Hello viewers, welcome to the program. I'm Rohit Vyas and you're watching us coast to coast as usual throughout North America. Energy healing, negativity in the world, using positive energy to conquer what's negative and to make things positive again. That and many other subjects will be what we will discuss now on this interview here. My guest is Patrick San Francesco, a world-renowned energy healer and globally recognized humanitarian, originally from Goa, India. He has traveled the world, healing, teaching, speaking on higher consciousness, and empowering the underprivileged. He is an internationally recognized humanitarian, as I said, and world-renowned energy healer. He's the chairperson also of the Samarpan Foundation, established in India and now also operating in South Africa and Malawi. Thank you for joining us, Patrick, and welcome to TVAsia. Pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Rohit. It's been a pleasure.
Energy healing. First of all, let's define that. What is energy healing and who needs energy healing in today's world?
Well, energy healing is the primary healing of man, actually. And we are all healers, though we don't know it. For example, when you hurt your hand, you rub. How does that feel better? You're transferring energy from your good hand to the place that is paining. So you've been healing yourself all the time. Someone tells you something you don't like, you cross your hands over your solar plexus. Nobody has taught you, but your solar plexus is the center for negative and base emotions. So we are all healers. What I do is just awaken people to what they already knew, but have forgotten.
Which is basically innate. It's within each one of us.
Absolutely.
So we have the power essentially to allow ourselves to be injured and hurt, but at the same time, we do have that other power within us to heal ourselves and make ourselves feel happier, correct?
Exactly, but the body is healing itself unconsciously all the time. The few times you feel the pain is when the body has said it's too much. But otherwise, the body is always healing itself. Our lifestyle is so abusive. And we don't think about the number of times we should have fallen ill or the number of accidents we should have had. The few times we do fall ill and the body does succumb, then we make a big song and dance about it. But even then, you can heal yourself. You don't need medicines and doctors to the extent that we are so conditioned to use.
When did this realization occur to you? I mean, you seem to have, the way you speak, it's as if it's a natural thing, which it is, which you just defined it as being natural in all of us. But you were obviously awakened at some point in your life where you realized this power that we all have within us.
Well, actually, it started at the age of 4. When my brother was sick and I was told he's going to die. At that age, I thought God's supposed to look after everybody. So I went into the garden, looked up at the sky because I said, God lives in the sky. Right. I was only 4 years old. I still am.
Very good. Okay.
And I said,
but
hey,
you've matured since then. You're 4 years old, but you've matured in the mind. Okay, go
hopefully.
ahead. Yeah.
And I said, hey, it's your job to make my brother well, make him well. I went in and told my brother, don't worry, I've spoken to God, you'll be fine. By evening, he was pretty okay.
Mm-hmm.
So from then on, I realized, I had to talk to God or the divine or whatever you want to call him, and he would do the job. And I was too stupid to believe that he wouldn't, that I would need medicines. And that is really what happened in the end.
So then how did you channel that realization? So now you're thinking there's a God or a divine being out there, and you asked him or her to take care of your brother, which occurred, sort of like a miracle, right?
Yes.
And then what did you realize after that? Let's go a little after that. Okay, so this happened now with your brother. Then what did you start to do?
Well, then when anybody felt ill at home, I would go to the garden again, look up at the sky and say, now my dad is ill, now my sister's ill, or whatever it is. Slowly the message went around the area that, if you're sick, go to Patrick, he talks to God. Mm-hmm. And people thought that was a great blessing, but for me it was quite a drag because my friends would come back from school, we all go to play, and I would be called into the house to do healing.
Because they'd injure themselves or whatever. And,
yeah, there would be a whole lot of people, adults waiting there, and somebody would say, Patrick, please heal my kidneys. I was like 4 or 5 years old, I didn't know what kidneys were, so I would look up to the sky and say, God, I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but fix it, I want to go play.
And then that person would be healed?
Yes, they would get better.
Did you realize why that was happening? Did you think at that point that it was just this divine power that was doing it because you asked?
Yeah, I was always wondering, why me? Why do they come to me and ask me? Can't they ask their own kids or ask for themselves or whatever it was? I never thought it was anything very special or blessed or anything of the sort. For me, it was like quite a nuisance really, because my playtime was being cut every time. I found all these adults there standing. But of course, the chocolates that came along with the healing was very good for me.
So now these adults would come, etc. Then you sort of developed a following, I imagine, at that young age, where everybody would start to spread the word. There's this. I mean, did they start to? I mean, let's be honest. You look like Jesus Christ, actually, as I'm speaking to you. So, I'm trying to draw an analogy here that at a young age, people must have seen these, to them, what appeared to be miracles that were happening. And did you start to develop a following of people at that point? And I assume this was all in Goa, probably.
No, this was in Bangalore.
In Bangalore, okay.
But the thing is that I never really thought of it as a following. There would always be people coming to me and asking me to heal them. And the word spread in the school. Even the teachers would come and say, I've got a cold and a cough, can you do something for me? And I would just do it as a matter of rote and then run off to play.
Were there any failures? Did anybody not get better after you asked whoever it was to heal them?
I can only think of one person. It was my grandmom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my father's mother, when she asked me to heal her. And she was quite a strict lady, so I told God, heal her, but take your time, because the longer she's in bed, the better for us.
You felt safer. You felt less menaced by by the threats of punishment or whatever. All right, so take us through your career now. So then you went to school? Did you go to college as we know it? I mean, traditional education and stuff. And how did this power or recognition that you found, how did that go along with you as you started to get yourself through life?
Well, actually, as I grew older, I began to use it less and less, because I was more distracted with other issues. And the issues I was distracted with were actually like world hunger, how to handle waste, giving water to everybody, world poverty. And I said there must be a solution. If man is so smart that he could go to the moon, why can he not solve these problems, which are so basic? And I came to the conclusion that man really didn't want to solve these problems. This divide between the rich and the poor was something which they thrived on. So I began to look for solutions like that, and I did come up with a couple of them.
Okay. And what were they?
Well, the first one I came up with was the answer to the PET bottle, the humble water bottle, which has become such a bane in society because it doesn't go away. So I filled it with regular waste earth and made it into a brick. And then when I spoke to people who were engineers and architects, and I said, can we not use it like a brick? They told me a clay brick on a clay brick has got some friction. When you put cement, it binds together, but a smooth plastic bottle on a smooth plastic bottle will never bind together. So it's a worthless proposition. But of course, I would never say die to that. So I thought of using a nylon fishing net to bind the bottles together. And I came up with one of the strongest structures in the world, which could take up to 9.8 on the Richter scale in the laboratory tests.
And so this is basically plastic bottles, used plastic bottles.
Yes.
Used together in construction. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Bound together.
Yeah.
And using it so basically recycling.
Absolutely. Recycling, waste management. And also, the key to the whole process was empowerment of people who were infirm and old. We would dump a lot of empty bottles with them and a pile of mud, and they would sit around in a circle filling the bottles, and they would get paid for it. So it was empowerment and giving them dignity again.
All right, I want you to hold that thought. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a bit more about this because it involves the environment. And I think in today's world, we know climate change is a big issue. A lot of people in the world are concerned. Some are not so concerned. We'll be right back after a break. Our guest, Patrick San Francesco, energy healer, humanitarian, and more. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back. Our guest once again, Patrick San Francesco, energy healer, humanitarian. And we were just talking in the previous segment about green building, essentially, using recycled plastic. You mentioned bottles that can be put together to construct something which would be good for the infirm, especially. and they could be engaged in this process. Now I see here that you are a pioneer of a unique earthquake-resistant and affordable green building technique. This construction concept was internationally certified and is being implemented globally. The unique new building method was presented to the UN Academic Impact Symposium in September of 2015, and you're the recipient also of the prestigious Mandela Award presented by the Rubin Museum in New York City in 2011. Talk to us about this unique building concept a bit more in detail. So where is this going to happen? Will it happen on a mass scale?
Well, it can happen on a mass scale if people are really conscious of the environment. Because you see, a plastic bottle, the curse of the plastic bottle is that it doesn't go away. When you fill it with mud, it becomes a brick that doesn't go away. So the longevity of the building is almost unlimited. And I use nylon fishing net instead of steel in the concrete ceilings, which is a fraction of the cost of steel. At the same time, much stronger than steel and much more durable.
Really?
Yes, you see, because when you impact concrete, the vibration creates the steel in the concrete to vibrate, to have a corresponding vibration which causes the cracks. But when you have fishing net inside, it doesn't have a corresponding vibration, so the impact is just...
It's basically absorbed. That's
yes,
what it is,
absorbed,
isn't it?
yes.
So that's the physics of it.
Yeah.
It would just be
And
absorbed.
The same thing is also in the climatic conditions. When it's cold, the steel in the concrete begins to contract, and when it's hot, it begins to expand again, creating cracks. Whereas nylon fishing net doesn't expand or contract.
So now you had this is all done under the Samarpan Foundation?
Yes.
And how active is the foundation right now?
Well, right now we are active in Chandigarh, Delhi, Srinagar, Calcutta, Mumbai, Bangalore, Goa, all over India, and then in Nepal, Malawi, South Africa.
And so people are actually recycling according to your method, recycling things like plastic bottles and the like, and putting them together. Do you have a team that goes out teaching people this technique?
We have a manual which people ask for and access. So the nice thing is a lot of young students all over the world have been in touch with me, and I've sent them the manual and given them the instructions, and they have been doing the construction. And they've sent me back photographs of their construction, and it is pretty good.
Wow, wow. Now you have extensive knowledge of the human anatomy, diseases and ailments, I imagine from your childhood, as well as life situations. And you attribute this to a background in law and medicine. Now you were mentioning to me that you didn't really go through a complete formal education, but you picked things up during your course of education, correct? So you learned about the human anatomy. And
well, actually, more than the educational background, I used to read a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When my friends were reading comic books, I was reading Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
Because I found the working of the human body so interesting, so that I needed to really know about how we function, because when people would come to me with different ailments, I had to know at least where the organ was. So that's what I studied. And then also I found a lot of people had problems because of stress. And the stress was caused by legal problems or financial problems, so I began to read up on economics and law. So I would even dictate letters to them, which they would write to their bankers or whatever it was, to get the loans extended or to handle their financial abilities, their problems or whatever. So I began to research a lot of this. So most of it was informally researched.
How much of our ailments in all of us human beings is related to stress? And how much do you think and do you believe the mind can succeed over matter? In other words, can the mind actually be trained to heal, which is what you do, your energy healing? Mind plays a big part, I imagine, right?
Not really. The mind is the biggest enemy, actually.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, because our mind is the projection of the brain, which is a receptacle of the five senses. And we've been trained and conditioned all our lives to be a slave to our five senses. We want our food to look good, taste good, smell good, feel good. Everything about it is about our senses. So long as you are not a slave to your senses, then you're free of your mind. When you're free of your mind, your spirit self is then open to the universe. And that energy which comes in then through your open mind has the power to heal you. When has stress got you anywhere, Rohit?
Never got anybody anywhere.
Precisely. So why stress about anything? You see, if I have to pay a bill tomorrow and I don't have money to pay the bill, I come home stressed and anxious. My family see me stressed and anxious. They get stressed and anxious. Dinner is served. I can't eat. I'm stressed. I toss and turn all night. In the morning, I haven't got money to pay my bill. Second scenario, I haven't got money to pay my bill for the next day. I come home laughing and joking, play with the kids, have a hearty appetite, snore all night, wake up in the morning, I haven't got money to pay my bill. Nothing changes. So why did I punish myself? No dinner, no sleep. So stress gets you nowhere. It's such a bore.
Okay, let's take another break. We come back. I'm going to probe you on that a bit more. Our guest once again, Patrick San Francesco, energy healer, humanitarian. We'll be right back after this short break. And welcome back again. Patrick San Francesco is my guest. He's an energy healer, humanitarian, and much more. Let's talk about stress again. We left off in the last segment. Yeah, you can. Here's what some people would say to you. Of course, you can try and laugh it off. Eventually, that bill has to be paid. Eventually, whatever happens in this human field of ours, this world of ours, there are certain things, obligations we have to meet, and they can take a toll on us. How do you then, for instance, if you don't have money, how do you train your mind to say, okay, I'm going to make money and pay that bill?
You see, what happens is when you're stressed, a lot of your energy goes dealing with the stress, the regrets, the blame game, and so all that effort and energy could be used to finding a solution. Most often the emotion which comes along with the stress and seeking to place blame on somebody or maybe yourself or your past life or your karma or whatever it may be is a waste of time. Use that time, that energy, all that effort to find a solution. My theory is that nothing will come your way which is beyond your capacity. The divine will never give you something beyond your capacity. A beggar on the street doesn't say he has $1 million problem. His problem is $5, his capacity. A businessman will have $1 million problem, his capacity. So if it comes your way, it's within your capacity. If it's within your capacity, you just have to look hard enough and you will find the solution.
When you say divine, the divine, do you believe in the divine as an entity? Do you believe in the divine as something spiritual? What is your belief in the divine?
Well, the easiest way to put it is, we are drops of water and the divine is the ocean. We are identical to every other drop, but we are not the ocean. It's an intelligence and a wisdom much superior to ours.
Your mantra is love, peace, happiness, kindness, simplicity, and clarity. How do you put this into practice in today's world, which is anything but any of this? No peace, no happiness. In other words, there's a lot of negative energy. We just discussed this before going on set. A lot of negative energy going around the entire world. Everywhere you look, absolutely no love but hate. No peace but violence. So how does one get through a very tumultuous world as it is that we face now with your philosophy?
Well, let the whole world crumble, but let your attitude be a constant. Peace is within yourself. Look for things that disturb your peace. Don't seek to attain peace outside yourself. You cannot attain peace. You are born with the quality of peace within you, but you allow that peace to be disturbed. Don't ask yourself why you get angry. Rather ask yourself why you lack peace. So we have to look within ourselves to find these qualities, and they are inherent in us.
How much does yoga, meditation, and introspection, for that matter, play in one's life in getting to this stage that you're describing?
There's a misconception about meditation. People think that meditating is sitting for half an hour in a corner with a scented candle and connecting with some higher power. True meditation is doing whatever you're doing and doing it 100% in that moment.
So that means if I'm working or writing, that's meditation?
Absolutely. If you're ironing your clothes, if you're washing clothes, if you're cooking food, if you're working in the office, do it with 100% focus and you are in meditation.
Here's the question then. Let's be a little more philosophical here. I know you probably see this one coming, but now that we've gone through these stages in this conversation, What happens to us after we leave this body of ours?
When I go and find out, I'll come back and tell you.
That's pretty cool. How, you really would? But do you have a theory as to what happens, or is it too much for our minds to comprehend?
See, the basic concept is, why worry about your past life or what's going to happen in the future? What are you doing in this moment is what's important. The only thing you possess is this moment. Live in the moment. Don't do things with motivations for a better hereafter. Rather, live in the moment.
But it's a common fear in all humans, you know, the fear of mortality, our mortality. What happens to us? Especially when you get older, you start to think of these things. And then everybody starts going to the temples and the churches and try to get close to the divine being in a physical manner, because there is that fear of mortality. Should that fear be non-existent? Is that what you're saying? Nobody should be afraid?
Well, it's very simple. We grumble about our lives, we grumble about the economy, we grumble about our children, we grumble about our jobs. So what's wrong in packing up and going to some place where there's no traffic jams, no income tax, no bank loans?
How do we know that?
Like I said, I'll tell you when I go there and come back.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you. This has been a great discussion. We could go on, but I think we've summed it up quite accurately. You have for us. And I want to thank you for joining us on TVAsia. It's been a real pleasure having you here. And please continue doing the good work you do. And please keep healing people as you did in your childhood and as you hopefully are continuing right now. Thank you. Absolutely. I want to thank our guest, Patrick San Francesco, energy healer, humanitarian. I guess, someone who talks about climate change and all the like, somebody who believes in a green planet. Thank you again for joining us on TVAsia.
It was my pleasure, Rohit.
And thank you, viewers, for watching. This has been a special edition of Face to Face. I'm Rohit Vyas.